Hi, Sparkles. This is episode 169 of the Intuitive Wisdom Podcast. Today, I'm sharing my conversation with Naturopathic Doctor and Teacher, Dr. Sharnael Wolverton. I don't know about you, but in my personal development journey, I've increasingly learned to keep an open mind and try different things to help myself heal, grow, and be my more authentic self. In this conversation, Dr. Sharnael introduces us to frequency medicine and her biofeedback system. I've yet to try it, but I can't wait to learn more and see results. Here we go. Hi, and welcome to Intuitive Wisdom. I am your host, Kay Margaret Solorio. I am an author, spiritual teacher, and certified angel Reiki master. I believe that all the answers you seek are inside you. When you learn to discern between the ego and the intuition, tune into spirit, you can hear that whisper, your intuitive wisdom, answering your questions and showing you the next right step. On this podcast, we explore that connection and the good that happens in the world when you learn to hear your intuition, trust your intuitive wisdom, and allow your magic. Okay, quick announcements before we get to the inspiring interview. My book is now available on Amazon in both paperback and on Kindle. It's called Make Ease Your Vibe. It's about mindset, time, and energy strategies to help make ease part of your daily vibe. So there are bonuses available. I've created bonuses for each chapter in a chapter outline. You get access to all that after you purchase. You can go to my website, deliciousease.com, and click on the book. And there you can enter your email address and get access to all of that. There are meditations. There's lots of good stuff. So again, available on Amazon. You can either search Make Ease Your Vibe or my name, Kay Margaret Solorio. We have the Center and Soul series that started on May 1st and runs for the entire month of May. If you haven't already, be sure to go to deliciousease.com/center to sign up for daily emails with journal prompts to go with each action item and each little meditation topic from the inspirational mini episode as part of that series. And I'm working on a couple new things for you to release in June, including a special for the podcast, an invitation to join my community, and more about using these energy principles for your space. So be sure to stay tuned, and I'll see you on the inside. Now to the interview. Dr. Sharnael is a naturopathic doctor and teacher who hosts True TV, has authored 5 activating books, spoken at numerous conferences and retreats in over 50 countries, and curated several self-paced online workshops geared toward finding yourself and living to your truest, highest potential. She also illuminates truth through her worldwide interviews and works one-on-one with a limited number of individuals. She has powerful tools like her biofeedback scans and soul audits and coaching to put you on a true path of finding yourself. Without further ado, here is my conversation with Dr. Sharnael. Dr. Sharnael, thank you again for joining me today. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. So great to be with you today.
Thanks. Well, you may know on this podcast, I like to explore the magic that happens when you learn to hear and trust your own intuitive wisdom. So I was curious for you, what's one of the greatest insights you've received from your intuitive wisdom and acted on?
Oh gosh, so many. Yeah, I recently was just in, I mean, don't we tap in like moment to moment?
Yeah.
I mean, even like I'm planning a few trips this week, and I'm like, okay, if money wasn't an issue, where would I stay? And that kind of stuff, because anything less than your highest will always contain self-sabotage. And what I have found the hard way is when I pick things to like do the logical thing, or the one that I think is going to be better for everyone else, or do it because I feel like pressured. There always ends up being like consequences, you know what I mean? Right?
Yes.
And then it's like, why didn't I do that other thing? I knew I should have did that. And so, I like I said, I'm going to Bali and Sri Lanka and New York and Montana. I have so many trips this weekend. This coming up week and summer, and, just trying to manage all that and schedule it has been like pendulum swinging and going with my gut and asking for signs. How do you do it?
Oh, that's a really good question. For me, it's a whisper. So I often actually find my intuition when I find myself arguing back. And then I go, wait a second, why are you arguing with yourself? That means you should have listened. Um, that's when it pops up for me. But I think the, hmm, that's a good point too. Or yeah, I think I'm still in the phase where I see it in the resistance. So I think one of the biggest things for me was I moved, oh, it's been a little while now, 14 years ago, from the East Coast to the West Coast, but just kind of quit
Ooh,
my
that's a good
job,
jump.
sold my stuff and drove and went for it. And when I made the decision, all these things like came up. Like I'd been looking for a different job and I got a bunch of job offers, or I'd been looking for this and I had this opportunity. So it was like I really had to stick and know what I wanted to do for me. And so it was in that resistance that I was like, okay, you are listening to your intuition because you've got all this stuff coming up. So listen to that little whisper.
We tend to test ourselves, don't we? It's
Well, maybe that's it too.
like the fragments of our indecision go out into the field as a radiation, and then people pick up on that and bring it back to us, and it's like just to give us the opportunity to like make a new choice, or to keep the choice we already made, or kind of feel around through it. But I know it's really weird, but when we were kids and it was like eeny meeny miny mo,
Hmm.
I do that little trick too, because I'll do like eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And if I land on the one that I kind of know wasn't the right one, I get this little feeling in my stomach, like, or I like feel let down. I'm like, oh. And then I go, okay, then it's the other one.
You get the reaction.
Have you tried that?
Yeah, I trained as an angel Reiki master last year, and one of the things she taught, the teacher I worked with taught us, was the sway test.
Yeah.
So it's the kind of the same thing. You ask questions and you get the yes or no by the sway, kind of like a pendulum, but the same thing with, I guess, the eeny, meeny, miny, mo. If you know what you don't want, you know what you do want.
Yeah. Yeah. The weird thing about the sway is sometimes I've actually overpowered it with my own willpower. And so
Oh,
sometimes I have to get someone else to test me, or the pendulum, or I'll do the pendulum like 3 or 4 different ways. Like if it ends up this way, then I'll turn it like sideways and I'll go, okay, let me just make sure. And if it changes its whole direction to go to the way that it was, and I'm like, okay, that's a double. I got it.
yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, you've hinted at it, and what I wanted to talk to you about today was frequency medicine, because this concept is new to me, even though I've worked with energy for a while. So if you would, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I mean, energy medicine is pretty much everything under the sun, because we are kinetic. So even muscle testing, I would put under that category. But biohacking of any kind, I love the lavender lightning. That's what I got in one of my whispers. The lavender lightning modality for me, or the process, is I use a lot of ancient tools as far as herbs and oils and crystals and supplements and nature. But then the lightning technique, or the lightning side of it, would be I don't know, biohacking of any kind, all the Tesla stuff, lasers, crystals, biofeedback is huge. Red light therapy, ozone therapy, hyperbaric chamber, anything where it's going to where there's like an outside source using a technology of some kind to bring frequency to the body to help harmonize the body in some way.
Oh, okay. So it's not just about raising your vibration, but harmonizing it. So kind of like balancing it.
Yeah, because sometimes we need to go lower and sometimes we need to go higher. And so we can get in trouble if we're just like trying to raise the vibration, which isn't a bad thing. Raising the vibration is a good thing. And also with biofeedback, when I do the reports, you could see when something is too high. Maybe cortisol is too high, and so we can bring the frequency down to ground it, and or use tools to ground the hormones to bring that homeostasis kind of alchemy.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about biofeedback? biofeedback? Because I'm not familiar with that.
Of course. Yeah. It's one of my favorite tools actually. And I did it in person for a while, but then I just probably maybe 8 years ago, got the upgraded version where I could do it long distance. And we do it through Evox, which is your voice, because our voice will give us clues on what is out of balance. And then we do an aura picture, which we can see with cameras now, like what's going on in your aura to see what's out of balance and what's going on. And so then we combine that with Rife, if you're familiar with Rife. Rife, if you Google Royal Rife, he came up with understanding that there's a frequency to every organ, to all of our body. We're 67 megahertz on a healthy adult day, but if things drop, we start to open ourselves up to viruses and bacteria and parasites and entities and, all of those kind of things. So what we do is first we get all of the patient's information. We get, the pictures, the voice recording. We plug it into the software, and the software will customize 25 to 30 reports. And we look at hormones, sleep patterns, major organs. We look at chiropractic. We look at if there's any vitamin deficiencies. We look at hormones. We look at emotions, because emotions are a big deal. A lot of things that I see are conversion disorders, meaning we can have trauma in the body that will surface eventually if it's triggered as a signal of some sort of problem physically, and we'll take on these physical issues because of the emotional, which is just a signal to clear the trauma and not necessarily work on the physical situation, because clearing the trauma will wipe out the physical situation. So we do look at emotions, and we'll clear, anything even back to ancestral issues, which is really cool. It'll show if this was what your DNA package was when you were born and what you incarnated into, or if it's something that's more recent. It'll show kind of both. And so once we get the highs and lows and the ins and outs and the current and the past, we will drop everything that is out of balance into this tray. They call it a tray. Put everything in there, and then they customize frequencies to send back to the patient to bring that alchemy back to the body physically. And some people actually feel it. I mean, I felt it the first time.
So you listen to the frequencies kind of as a meditation, or just have it on in the background?
No, you don't even have to be present. It is sent to you like long distance, just like satellite dish TV or radio, or even what we're doing right now with streaming. This is long distance, but it's doable. I mean, we have radio waves and 5G and all the kinds of stuff going on in the air at all times. That's messing with the body. As a matter of fact, that's one of the reports, is we can actually see if 5G is affecting the cells, if chemicals are affecting the cells, if maybe sensitivities in the food are affecting the body and there's inflammation. We could see if someone's in fight or flight. We could see if there's Lyme, parasites, fungus. There's so many things. But once we know what's going on, we just send that. And like I said, I was like, how can this be done so far away?
Well, and it's all from energetic information that this is, wow.
Yes. And literally, girl, the first time I was like, okay, just do it. I didn't really believe it. I was just like, one of my doctor friends and mentors had gotten this new technology, and I was like, whatever, and so he's in another state. And when he sent it to me, I didn't even know he was going to do it. He asked for my permission, and I was like, yeah, sure. And I kind of forgot about it. And then 3 weeks later, I was like, hey, did you do that thing? He's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. I got all this stuff going on. I'll get to it. I promise. Give me some time. And then one day I came home from work, and I sat down in my living room, and I was just like, whoa, I feel super wiped out and just pregnant, tired. And I told my husband, wow, I wonder if he's doing it. And I went to grab my phone, couldn't even make it, fell asleep, sitting up on my couch in the living room, 2:00 in the afternoon. Kids came home from school, dogs in and out, cats in and out, lights on. I have never fallen asleep sitting up, maybe ever in my life. I don't even sleep on planes. My husband can sleep in the middle of a parade sitting up, but I just, and so I woke up that night And I was like, grabbed my phone and I'm like, did you do it? And he had actually texted me at 1:55 and said, hey, I'm about to do it. And
Oh,
so the second time, actually, it happened again. I got really sleepy. The third time, man, the opposite happened. I was like cleaning my garage, cleaning out every cabinet, cleaning all my drawers, like giving away everything to Goodwill. Like I
and
was
that,
just,
forgive me, that's when he sent the frequencies to you, or when he was just doing the analysis?
no, when he
Oh,
sent
that
the
was at the
frequencies
end.
to me. Yeah. So I had integrated so much the first two
Oh,
scans that the second time, all of this like dark kind of convoluted energy was cleared enough. So the third time I was like, woo, I was like, gym. I had 23 bags of stuff that I brought to Goodwill.
oh my
Like
goodness.
went through all my kids' clothes and was like, this doesn't fit. This is ugly, blah, blah, blah. Just stuff that had been on my list for ages, but just didn't have like the motivation or the energy really to take that on. But yeah, I mean, people talk about getting money. Like if there's an abundance issue or clearance with parasites, once we clear parasites, people change everything because money can come in. Maybe the narcissistic boyfriend stops calling, because that radiation of parasites or fungus or mold, if that goes out into the field, we can only get a match. So what happens is we actually can draw in or magnetize people who take advantage and don't really honor. So because that whole signal is, hey, I'm a good victim, cancel clear. And so we see a lot of weird stuff and partnership coming in, like new jobs. So it's not just physical, but when we change the field and we change the radiation of what's going out to a higher vibe, we can only get a match to that because we're not only energetic, but we're magnetic. And so we're always, having this torrid of information going out and information coming in. And it's transferable with all the people that we hang out with. So just like you had your thing where all these job opportunities came in, it's like that can happen when we clear out stagnant energy. And stagnant stuff can happen with death, with stress, with grief. I just had a patient here recently and she just had like 3 deaths in her family in the last year. And I mean, she had just like gray, kind of a gray hole outside of just
Wow.
this stagnant energy. And once we cleared it, girl, she is just like rocking and rolling and feeling good. And it's really cool.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. I think my mind's been blown and my other questions pale in comparison. Gonna take a minute to wrap my head around that. I was
Well,
gonna,
it takes a couple to do it, depending on how serious the situations are. Like when I found the technology when I was dealing with cancer, and so I was scanning myself weekly. If it's really chronic, you need to do, one every 2 weeks for a little while. But what I have done is in regular biofeedback, most of the time you hook up to a machine and you sit there, you don't know what's going on, you don't know what they're working on, and they're like, hey, come back in 2 weeks or come back in a week. Because I'm a naturopath and I actually have reports to look at with this software, I can see if the person needs to ground or if the person needs vitamin D or if the person just needs to sleep more or wake up at a different time or go to the gym or work on their lymphatic system. And so there's some kind of physical things that might show up that I can look at as a naturopath and go, you know what, you probably need 10 scans, but if you do X, Y, and Z, we can bring it down to like 2 or 3 scans because you're going to anchor in some of these frequencies and take them off the list. So for example, take a vitamin D, maybe they need vitamin D or go outside. It's like, if we could take that off the list, then all the energies that we're sending can kind of go towards the things that aren't so easy to fix.
Mhm.
And it makes a faster move for your body. But yeah, people dream, people get ideas for books. And then I've had a couple of people who just woke up and had like a whole book and just like wrote it out, had the energy to do it. I mean,
Wow.
it's life changing.
That's amazing. And I'm assuming people find you for this help if they've tried a bunch of other stuff and can't figure out, like they just still feel stuck. And
I get a lot of mystery illness people who have tried all the things and they just don't have answers, or if they don't want to go to 5 doctors and they're like, can we just streamline this and get to the root?
And
And
you
or
can see everything.
yeah, or people who are dealing with depression or grief or money issues, or they need a job, or things like that. People come to, because again, we can find out what's going on in the field, and once we change the field up, that radiation is different, and then you'll start getting new matches that are serving a better timeline for you, instead of like just going around in circles and just not kind of feeling stuck.
Yeah. This sounds amazing. Can you also talk about what quantum health is and how that relates?
Yeah, well, it's similar. I mean, quantum is the unseen, right? So although we don't physically see the energy in the air, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, because obviously we have radio, we have streaming, we have our phones that we use that would seem to, well, sometimes they work when AT&T or Verizon is doing what it's supposed to. But yeah, the like regular physics is, the stuff that's more tangible that we can hold on to. But the quantum realm, which is my favorite, is like the unseen, the mysteries, and we can bring, the unseen into the scene, and that's the magic of what we as people, as humans do, is bringing what's under, well, what's the word dark actually isn't bad. It's just the unseen, the unknown. And when we bring it to light, we manifest it, we create it. And so anything that you can physically see right now was once just an idea in someone's heart and someone's mind, and then it got created and brought to light.
I'm also curious then how you manifested this for yourself. Like, how did you come upon this information? Were you seeking? Were you always kind of interested? Were you?
That's a great question. I was pretty sick, actually. I was very, very much a part of, some kind of more structured, organized spirituality groups at the time, and I guess more religious type settings, and did conference itinerant speaking for 17 years. I still do teach and train and travel, and but I just am doing kind of a different thing. I'm doing more with medicine and frequency and spirituality, and really trying to bring a bridge to science and spirituality, because, and it sounds like that's what you do, I mean, I think there's a lot of us that are finding each other and kind of like making that bridge.
Yeah. I have a bachelor's degree in science. And so I started definitely on the science and loved studying DNA and everything associated. Now I'm fully doing the energy work. And yeah, it is, I love reading other books and seeing a different perspective. And I know it's the same thing. Like we're all talking about the same thing.
True.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah. I'm a geek. I mean, I love all the sciencey data research. I'm always like studying. I mean, that's what I'm going to Bali and Sri Lanka for. We're going to look at farms and look at the frequency of different plants and how they can help your physical body, distilling it and using it as herbs and or distillation processes. And I'm just like, I can't wait.
Do you use your technology then to map the frequencies of the plants, or what they are? So you're just finding the ones you're looking for?
We don't always know what they are, but what I have found is in every country, in every space, there's usually something really custom to that land. There's a vibration to the land, and that changes with climate and people and history of the land, and that's all like integrated into the plants and into the trees, and so like we went to Australia and we found some cool stuff, and went to New Zealand and found some cool stuff, and Oman, is really known for the sacred frankincense, and France is a big lavender type area. So yeah, I mean, Croatia, helichrysum is a really good one. It's really high frequency, 157 megahertz, and it's hard. It's built in hard rock and kind of crusty. It's different land, but yeah, it's fun. I love my job, my mission.
Sounds fascinating and amazing. It's not the same at all, but I've been in the wine industry for about 20 years.
Ooh.
the thing that I love about wine is that magic,
Yeah.
because the way you described it is exactly the reason I enjoy it. And I've never been able to describe it that way. But there is a magic in the land and in that year of the grapes and the person who is growing the grapes that produces an ingredient that then gets transformed in the cellar by a certain circumstance and time and material and person. And then
Yeah.
you open the bottle when you're in a certain mood and a certain time and space and you're a certain person. So like all these little things, magic pieces that had to come together for a sip that transforms your meal. It's like I love it every time.
It
Same
is.
idea, not the same thing, but
And California has the most beautiful wineries. Yeah, and so does like Germany. Oh my God, the Rhine has some beautiful places.
my
And you're
family
right.
are winemakers in Germany and I came out to California for the wine. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting because I worked my mentor. We were in Idaho, I believe it was Idaho one time, and we were in a Melissa field, and there was an argument in the field when they were harvesting. And literally, my mentor was like, throw away everything that they had collected. He just threw it out. It was thousands of dollars worth of stuff because he was like, I don't want the energy of that
Oh my
tension
goodness.
argument. And Melissa is like really expensive. I was just like one of the top and really one of the hardest to harvest besides like rose. But I was just like, wow, like talk about a mental like visual of someone who really takes it to a new level of making sure everything is perfect before it goes into that bottle, you know?
Yeah, but not just perfect in physical, but with intention, with
Oh
that.
yeah. I mean, because argument, like who would have thought, like, I don't want the argument in the bottle. I don't want someone else to have that
Yeah.
frequency. You know, it's like, but just like cooking food, it's like I've always been told don't eat at a restaurant if like the waitress is, being ugly with you or whatever, whoever's touching your food, like don't eat it. Just and versus something can really not be so great, but when it's served with love and also cooked with love and just the intention of that, it's like, man, this is delicious and you just feel so happy.
It's
But yeah, wine too. I like wine. Wine's great.
yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Well, is there anything else you would like to add to
Yeah,
our
no, I mean,
conversation?
I love that. If anyone's interested in working with me, I'm I'm available and you guys can text me or email or set
Yeah,
something
say the
up.
best place to connect with you, your
Yep.
website or
Yep. DrSharnael.com. Definitely just go in there and there's a whole area for remote scans. Again, I was like, this isn't real. And then, you know how you said that you put some stuff out and all these like jobs showed up. What's weird is the synchronicities of it is I was really like, my left brain was like, wow, how does this even work? And my electricity went out the next day. And the guy called and he's like, hey, where's your box? I got to go look up whatever. And I was like, I don't know. I called my husband and he was like, oh, it's over there. And they did this, they did that. And then they called back like 2 days later and they're like, okay, turn this off. And then we're going to zap something from the Wi-Fi, whatever. And then it worked. And then my Jeep satellite went out and it had a phone number on it. So I go pull over the side of the road, call, and this guy is in India and he's like, yeah, just turn it off. I'm going to zap something to you and then give it 15 seconds and turn it back on and it'll work. And I was like, okay. And lo and behold, yeah. And then my direct TV went out like the next day and the same thing happened. I called like Singapore or whatever. And a person hangs up, and they're just like, okay, turn it out, do this, put the card in. We're going to send a signal. And I'm like, dude, they've been doing this the whole time. Like so why wouldn't this work? It's just that we're using it for something really positive. We know that the CIA uses like voice to God tech, and that's a little more nefarious and not so good. But we can use something like this and the positive to help people get their frequency back, their harmony back, get their life back, their finances back, find partnership, have really good dreams, find their mission, feel physically well and energetic, and be on their best timeline.
Well, it doesn't get better than that. So, thank you so much again for your time. I really appreciated this conversation.
Awesome. Have a good one.
Hey Sparkles, thank you for listening to this episode of the Intuitive Wisdom Podcast. If you haven't already, click subscribe and follow. And if you love this episode, please leave a review and share it on Instagram and tag me at Delicious Ease. That's DELICIOUSEASE, so that I can say thank you. Every review helps another person find this podcast and learn to welcome their own intuitive wisdom. You can download your free 20-minute guided ideal day meditation on my website, deliciousease.com. Again, that's DELICIOUSEASE.com. And have you bought my book yet? Now available on Amazon, be sure to find my book, Make Ease Your Vibe, for mindset, energy, and time strategies that help you raise your vibration and enjoy the life you live. See you next week.